Photosynthesis is the basis for all life. Thanks to photosynthesis, plants could grow and evolve, and it has served as the foundation for other living beings such as the dinosaurs and the human species. Photosynthesis takes place in leaves of flowers, bushes, and trees. First, let's find out what a leaf looks like. On top, we can see a thin layer of wax called cuticula. It minimizes water loss and increases the stability and resistance of the epidermis. The main task of the epidermis is the protection of the leaf cells. Cuticula and epidermis can be found on both sides of the leaf. On top of the epidermis, in the bottom, is a spongy tissue. It allows the interchange of gases for photosynthesis. Furthermore, vascular bundles, which can often be seen with the naked eye, allow the transportation of water, minerals, and other products. The palisade cells can be found on top of these veins. Palisade cells contain many chloroplasts that can be seen here as green dots. Chloroplasts absorb a major portion of the light energy used for photosynthesis. So let's have a look at one of them. Chloroplasts have a protective membrane. A liquid called stroma is found inside the chloroplast. Thylakoids are embedded in this liquid. Thylakoids consist of a thylakoid lumen surrounded by a membrane where photosynthesis takes place. If we take a close look at the thylakoid membrane, we see the photosystem too. It is linked to the stroma and the lumen. PS2 consists of light harvesting complexes that surround a photosynthetic reaction center to focus energy. Light harvesting complexes consist of chlorophyll, such as chlorophyll A or chlorophyll B. These chlorophylls absorb light, namely photons, and transfer the energy to the photosynthetic reaction center. This is the reason why plants are green, as light with a wavelength of about 500 to 600 isn't absorbed but reflected. This is called green gap. The energy of the photons cause the chlorophyll molecule to enter an excited state, and electrons are ejected from the molecule. As a consequence, the molecule is charged positively. To absorb other photons, the molecule must return to its initial state. Therefore, it is in need of electrons. To get them, the PS2 uses water. Here, electrons are ejected from H atoms, and the H atoms are separated from the O atom. This happens several times, and, as a result, two O atoms combine to form an oxygen molecule that will be emitted later by the leaf.
The respiratory system takes in oxygen and expels carbon dioxide. Oxygen is delivered into the blood, whereas carbon dioxide is removed. Air enters the respiratory system at the nose and mouth and passes down the throat through the voice box and into the airways. The largest airway is the trachea, which branches into two smaller airways, the left and right bronchi. The bronchi lead into the lungs and branch into even smaller airways called bronchioles. At the end of each bronchiole are thousands of small air sacs called alveoli. Within the alveoli walls are networks of tiny blood vessels called capillaries. Oxygen and carbon dioxide are able to move through the extremely thin barrier between the air and the alveoli. The diaphragm is the most important muscle for breathing in. As the diaphragm contracts, it increases the size of the chest cavity and expands the lungs. The intercostal muscles between the ribs also help move the rib cage. To breathe out, the lungs and chest return to their resting shape and the intercostal muscles relax.
She wrote me an email, and she said she'd been through the worst possible thing that you can imagine happening to someone. She had just got married and was on honeymoon when her husband had a heart attack and died. And she had to go back to the church they got married in and speak a eulogy for this man. In fact, she also read a poem that she'd written when they first met. And she said, on the worst day of my life, I had to pull myself together. I had to find the energy of celebration for this man that I really loved. And the only way to do it was what you taught me, the skills of breathing low and slow, taking my time, getting the control, finding the inner confidence. It was the greatest gift I could give him. And there are moments in our lives where we have to speak, not because we have something to say for us, but because we want to speak for someone else, a wedding, a eulogy. And I would suggest that in those moments, these skills matter more than ever. And what you need to know in those moments is in this drawer. It's breath. It's air. And why air matters is because we breathe our thoughts. All speech is out-breath. All song is out-breath. And all in-breath is thought. Just put a hand back on that diaphragm for a moment and breathe out. And then feel the breath in, and as you breathe in, think of someone you really love. Now, if we were all to speak on that out-breath, it would be full of love. Now breathe in again, and breathe in a feeling of excitement for the day that's going to come, because it's going to be so good. And if we were to breathe in and then speak on that feeling, then we have excitement in our voices. So you can control your voice with the idea of breath is thought. And it's in Latin, the two worlds, ancient and modern. The Romans understood this. Inspiration and respiration have the same root. The Romans understood that we breathe our thoughts. And because we speak on the out-breath, all you have to think about is the in-breath. And you know the simplest way to think about the in-breath? Close your mouth.